So I'm doing these tasting episodes to help you make your buying decisions more easily. And I've been drinking wines for a half century. And I've been collecting wines and in the wine business for over 4 decades. So hopefully, all my past experiences will help you make better buying decisions. This episode, we're going to run through a number of wines that I've tasted recently and I found interesting or not interesting. The first wine is Chateau Le Puy, a million, which is a very, very hard wine to find. And this is the 2016, and this is from my cellar. This wine is on the outskirts of Saint-Emilion, and it's sort of like an iconic wine that collectors really don't know about. But the estate is made in a very natural style and a very, very drinkable and balanced style. It's never big, overwhelming like Saint-Emilion's can be, over the top like crazy. This wine, year in and year out, the wines age very well. They're never overly tannic, overly extracted. They're great with food. And the 2016 is a wonderful wine. Medium-bodied, very well balanced, good fruit, very charming to drink. If you have a chance to try these wines, Chateau Le Puy, P-U-Y, and whenever I see it, I pick some up and I put it in my cellar, but it is hard to find. The number 2 wine is Beringer Shabbat Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon 2002. And as you know, Beringer's famous for their private reserve Cabernet that they've been making for decades. And it's amazing. I really don't like the Beringer wines, except for their private reserve, generally. And they make very good wines. But this Shabbat is part of the mixture that goes into the private reserve. There's 3 or 4 other vineyards that they use. So they do bottle them separately, and then they do mix them together to make private reserve. And this one is very chunky, the 2002. And it's drinkable, but it lacks charm. It's balanced, but the tannins are a bit too coarse. On to wine number 3, which is Kirkland Signature Wines, a Costco wine. It's an Alexander Valley Cabernet, 2019. And I was really surprised with this wine. Very few California wines have a Bordeaux signature. They're ripe, they're round, they're generally big in the mouth, and a lot of times they're overly tannic, but they don't get the charm that most Bordeaux's do in the balance. This wine is moderate body, not more red fruits than black fruits, and soft and easy to drink. It reminds me of a Saint Julien. Nice flavors, sweet fruit, and as I said, it's red fruits, not black fruits. Very, very charming wine, and for $15, I would say that's a very, very good value. Number 4 is a cellar selection, and it's Ravignon Chablis Montre de Tonnerre, 1999. Now, Ravignon is unquestionably the best Chablis made, and I shouldn't say unquestionably, but consensus. I would say 95% of anyone who drinks Chablis holds Ravignon as the top. And Ravignon is very small production, great vineyards, and the wines are so intense, have such great extract in it. And I had the 1985 Lake Clos at a tasting, and I had 20 other wines, like 45 Mouton, and there was one great wine after another. And at the end of the night, they asked for your top picks. My top pick was Ravignon's Lake Clos. So that has a lot to say. And I'm a red wine lover, but I do love Chablis. So the Montre de Tonnerre, great wine. It's probably selling for $500, maybe $750. Ravigno's wines is so hard to get and so expensive. The Lake Clos would be 5,000 if you're going to buy the Lake Clos. Number 5 is Bedrock Old Vine Zinfandel 2019. I love Bedrock Vineyard Wine Company. They source out the oldest wines in California, mixed black grapes, predominantly Zinfandel, as this wine is, and they, from all corners of California, they get 80, 100-year-old vines, and they make a solid, delicious, full-throttle red wine without being pruny. You have a chance, it's like $20, a little over $20. That's an outstanding Zinfandel. Number 6, GD Varge Dolcetto d'Alba Cast de Fossetti. And it's the 2020 vintage. And Dolcetto can be made in 2 ways. It could be made light and fruity, easy to drink, cherry-like fruit, and should be drunk immediately. Or they could be made in this style, which is from a single vineyard, which is rich, round, full of plums. It's tart, round, and full of fruit, and very substantial in your mouth. It's a serious wine. And most Dolcettos are light, easy, Beaujolais-like, sometimes. But this wine's very serious. And if you have serious Italian food, try that. And it's comparable to some of the Barbarescos and Barolos. That's how much I think of it. It's so well made. The number 7 wine is Emil Lourinhã Vinho Verde from Portugal. And most Vinho Verdes, and it's the 2020 vintage, most Vinho Verdes are very light, and I mean very light. Some are 9% alcohol, 10%, and they're easy to drink. And Vinho Verde means green wine, and it means green wine should be drunk right away. And it's made for gulping. In Portugal, you have it with seafood, fresh seafood, chill it down, and you knock them back. It's never considered a serious wine. This wine, though, I understand comes from an area where they have lower yields, and it's a cooler area where the grapes come from. And there's a grip to this wine, and this wine can age. It was very interesting, and I didn't know what to make of it, but I found great interest in it. And if you come across that, I would like you to try it and let me know what you think of it. I found it very interesting. The 8th wine is a Grave, Chateau Les Charzat from Grave, 2016. I've never heard of this chateau. It's a petite chateau in Grave, which is in the southern region of Bordeaux on the left bank, and it's a very nice wine. The 2016, very balanced, not over extracted, good Grave, red brickish flavors to it, stony, but very easy to drink, soft. I drink it in the next year or two. It's not a keeper, but if you want an introduction to the Grave area of Bordeaux, that's a good one. Wine number 9 is Arath Oregon Pinot Noir Rosé, 2019. Now, Oregon is famous for Pinot Noir, and I guess they take young vines or slightly underripe grapes, and they make a rosé from it. I like Pinot Noir rosé. I think it has more character, more charm than regular rosé. It's not a serious wine. It's very inexpensive, but I find it balanced, crisp, and it's not serious. It's not Côte de Provence, but it's delicious, and like at any time, just sitting on the porch and wanting something that's dry with a little hint of sweetness, very good. Number 10 wine is a Beaujolais, a Morgon, J.M. Bougros, and it's the 2014 vintage. And
I used to love Beaujolais. I used to buy it in almost all vintages, and I loved how fruity, berryish it was, how easy it was to drink. But they've gotten very serious since after 2005. 2005 was the last great Beaujolais vintage. They all go to extracting more, using barrels, and not doing as much carbonic maceration, meaning fermenting as the berries slowly puncture each other and carbonic maceration occurs. It's light and fruity. They're not doing that. So it's a good wine, but I'd rather drink Pinot Noir. Number 11 is Chateau Ozone. It's a cellar selection to 1986 vintage. And this is a wine that my friend Ron the King Metzger served to me at his house when we were having dinner. And Ron is a big fan of Ozone and owns a lot of it. I own some, but I don't know what he owns. The 86 is not a great vintage for Saint-Emilion. It's not. But they made one of the better Saint-Emilions. And Ozone is big, rich, and very serious. Very serious. And this is one of the few wines that I would say is excellent to outstanding. And it's an 86 vintage. It still needs a lot of time. So those are the wines for today.